Right now on ABC 10 News at 4 o'clock, thousands of vaccines available today at Sharp healthcare sites. The rush to take advantage of the supply. Plus, we're learning more about one of the homeless men who was killed in a crash in Escondido. And our series, Positively San Diego, the local nurse who is on a mission to make a difference both in and out of the hospital.
ABC 10 News at 4 starts now.
Yes, I'm done.
Patients were thrilled to get vaccinated today after Sharp Healthcare opened up 2,000 appointment slots at its county vaccination stations. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kimberly Hunt. ABC 10 News anchor Vanessa Van Hefty spoke with patients who rushed to get vaccinated today.
And you're all set.
Rosanna was thrilled to get her second COVID-19 vaccination today at the Grossmont Center.
How was it?
Perfect. Oh, I'm very happy. You have no idea.
How long have you been waiting for this?
A long time ago.
Sharp Healthcare received a giant shipment of the COVID-19 vaccine, enough for 2,000 slots at county vaccine stations. The Sharp-sponsored super stations are at the Grossmont Center, Chula Vista, and Coronado. They all got fresh batches from the county. They weren't additional vaccines, but an allotment that they were expecting and, as of Tuesday morning, had in hand. Rosanna says for her, it means finally seeing her family after a year and a half, traveling to Israel and celebrating Easter.
And I can see all my grandchildren and my children with no problem.
She says she will still wear her mask and follow social distancing, but she's overjoyed to finally get the second dose.
Here is very organized, very fast.
The rollout today comes as the vaccine supply has been crippled. A Moderna shipment from the East Coast was delayed, which forced the vaccination site at Petco Park to close Sunday through today. The site will reopen Wednesday, but for many here at the site, it was the second dose.
Great.
You happy you got it?
Yes, so happy.
Appointments remain available for San Diego County residents 65 and older and healthcare workers. Hours and appointments vary by site, but for many patients, today's supply was a reason to be grateful.
I have a bad kidney. I'm happy that I'm getting my second.
Summing up what it means in one word.
Peace.
Vanessa Van Hefty, ABC 10 News.
Sharp Healthcare says the vaccines they received in this batch was the Pfizer vaccine. The shipment delay that closed Petco Park the last few days was the Moderna vaccine. And the San Diego Fire Department is administering vaccines for those 65 and older this week. The department says appointments are available today through Thursday. We have a link to make that appointment on 10news.com. Just click on the Resource Center. The first two FEMA mass vaccination sites opened in California today. One is at Cal State Los Angeles. The other is at the Oakland Coliseum. Both locations should be able to administer 6,000 shots a day. Right now, the vaccines are only open to people who meet county criteria, that's 65 and older. The federal government plans to open 100 of these sites in 100 days. Meantime, the Biden administration is increasing vaccine supply sent to states to 13.5 million doses every week. That's nearly a 60% increase from when he took office last month. The administration is also doubling the number of vaccines sent to pharmacies nationwide. That will be 2 million doses every week. We know many people have questions and different experiences with the vaccine rollout. Our ABC 10 News in-depth team is committed to tracking down answers and sharing your stories. Just send us an email to tips@10news.com. You can also head to 10news.com for more in-depth coverage of the vaccination rollout. In Encinitas, a hit and run left a pedestrian with serious injuries. It happened just before 11 o'clock this morning. Sheriff's deputies say a driver hit a pedestrian near Vulcan Avenue and West D and then crashed into a tree. A wheel came off the car in the process. We spoke with a witness who saw the whole thing and rushed over to help.
The gentleman wasn't responding to me, wasn't talking. I was scared. I was scared that he had a head injury or something. Then he climbed out the driver's side window and then just got out of the car, and I was trying to move branches out of the way because they took a whole entire bush with them. And then he just walked off.
Deputies arrested the driver. A female passenger was taken to the hospital. The identities of the suspect and the pedestrian have not been released.
The U.S. has reached its lowest numbers of daily coronavirus cases since October. 56,000 new cases were reported Monday. Experts believe that the number, though, is not realistic and may only be low due to the holiday. And they also worry that with variants circulating around the country, there could be another surge. The number of variants or mutations of the COVID-19 virus continues to grow. New research that still needs to be peer-reviewed says that there are 7 new variants in the U.S., mainly in the South Central and Southwest states. That's in addition to the 3 that are of the most concern out of the U.K., South Africa, and Brazil. Johns Hopkins doctors say while there is still a small number of these variants in the U.S., there needs to be a more coordinated response now.
But part of why we need a system in order to track and characterize these variants is so that if that situation does happen, we're prepared and we can change the vaccines really before it becomes an issue.
The COVID variants come from high transmission. In a new report, Johns Hopkins first recommends keeping control measures in place.
Although we are headed in the right direction and cases and hospitalizations are falling, we are still well above our previous peaks in the spring and summer, and we really need to stay the course and make sure that we are able to get to a better place.
Doctors don't want to see another wave related to variant spread. They say the U.S. has the infrastructure to do genetic sequencing, but it's really not organized in a way that benefits public health officials. Whereas in the U.K., Dr. Rivers says they are sequencing about 10% of people that test positive for COVID. With larger data, more protection is possible.
The primary action that we would be looking for is to update what we call medical countermeasures, the tests, the therapeutics, and the vaccines to make sure that they're a good match.
COVID vaccine makers are already looking at mutations to figure out how they might tweak the shots, similar to how the flu vaccine is updated every year. Johns Hopkins also recommends making contact tracing and case investigation a priority.
We're learning new information about this horrific crash that killed 2 homeless men in Escondido Friday. Police say a 13-year-old who took her mom's SUV was behind the wheel of that car you just heard. As ABC 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco tells us, one of those men was a beloved uncle and friend.
You could hear the sirens, the screeching tires, the loud boom. A neighbor's camera captured the tragic end of what appears to have started as a joyride by a 13-year-old girl. Tuesday morning, a growing memorial marks the spot where 2 men died. Police say the men were sleeping in the bushes on Ash Street near Mission Avenue late Friday night when the teenager lost control of the SUV while trying to get away from police.
All I saw was trash and plowed over bushes, and nothing to signify that 2 people lost their lives here.
Kimberly Bloodgood is an Escondido teacher. She doesn't know the men, but thought it was important to pay tribute to them.
It's not just a real simple, they were homeless. And it doesn't mean they were nothing just because they were homeless.
One of those men was Sofio Sotelo Torres. The 51-year-old had the option to stay with relatives, but a family friend told us he chose to live on the street. Ayari Lopez Basan told us in part, he has such a big heart and was so kind to everyone. He was the type of man that even though he didn't have much, he would give his last dollar or piece of food to you so you could be okay. The other man who died was his friend. Police say his name is Mateo Salvador. Police say the 13-year-old girl and her juvenile companion were released to their parents. The minimum age to be tried as an adult in California is 14.
No matter what happens in juvenile court, the maximum sentence you can get is to your 25th birthday. And this particular juvenile will probably be unlikely to get that because the basic crime is a reckless behavior, not an intentional behavior.
Bloodgood hopes the tragedy serves as a lesson to kids of all ages.
And I want, the children to see that you don't always know why somebody's homeless, but we need to treat them with respect. They're still human beings.
Rachel Bianco, ABC 10 News.